Hey everyone, welcome back to the Basel 3 Endgame video series. In the last video, I mentioned that I'll walk you through how to create a mapper table. So in this video, I'll touch up more on the functionality side before speaking about how we can achieve it technically using the BPPL's data standardization platform. So let's say we're working on a fact table and we need to classify each and every account with exposure class and exposure subclass. So, how do we first define an exposure class? Some exposure classes can easily be defined. For example, if the party type is SOV, it is sovereign, or if the party type is MDB, it is classified as multilateral bank. But how do we go about identifying exposure classes that have sub exposure classes? Let's take retail exposure for example, because it has subclasses we'll need to look into. Firstly, we identify a retail exposure by checking if the party type is an individual or an SME and has the eligible product flag as yes. If both these conditions are met, we classify the account as a retail exposure. But what about its sub exposure classes? Well, retail exposure has three subclasses: regulatory retail transactor, regulatory retail non transactor, and regulatory retail other. In order to classify an account under one of these subclasses, we look at some data points or flags: aggregate limit check flag, granularity flag, transactor flag. The mapper table should consist of all the permutations and combinations of these flags for us to be able to use it as a lookup table to identify an exposure subclass in our fact table. To take an example, if the party type is an individual or an SME and the eligible product flag is yes, we take it as a retail exposure. And if, for instance, the aggregate limit check flag is also yes, same with granularity check and transactor check, we consider the retail exposure subclass to be regulatory retail transactor. The same logic follows for all the other exposures as well. And of course, those exposures might be utilizing some other data points. In the next video, I'll talk about how we can do this technically. Thank you very much for watching and stay tuned for the next video.